This is Rehearsal and Recovery with Jamelyn Gray. Today's guest, James Pickering. Welcome to Rehearsal and Recovery. As I said in that little intro, my name is Jamelyn Gray, and I thank you for coming to this very, very first episode ever of all time of Rehearsal and Recovery. And we're going to be speaking with, I'll be speaking with Mr. James Pickering, who is a really a Milwaukee icon. If you're from Milwaukee, you know James Pickering from many years. He was a company member at the Milwaukee Repertory Theater. I had the privilege of working with him on one of our shows at the Constructivists, called I'm Gonna Pray For You So Hard, and we talk a little bit about that. And I just wanted to welcome you, and I hope that you enjoy this interview. Our interviews are going to be a longer form content, and because I really hope to capture the full story or a big part of their story and a big part of their artist journey and a big part of their recovery journey. So that takes a minute to talk about, and I hope that you stick with us here and beyond. And so thank you again for coming to the first episode of Rehearsal and Recovery. Here is James Pickering. All right, so okay, we have one microphone between us because I could have done my research ahead of time, but I did not. No. There's so much to this setup right now that I could have done ahead of time that.
But now she's working a day job, see.
But now I'm working a day job, see.
Just gets in the way of all kinds of things.
And it just gets in the way.
I know.
Oh.
It used to be only theater that would get in the way, but now it's this other stuff.
But we will manage. My day job right now is actually it's actually at a recovery place. So it's everything is in my wheelhouse.
It puts her in the mood. That's right.
It puts me in the mood, and it's great. And so welcome to the first ever episode of Rehearsal and Recovery. And I have with me today one of the most prolific artists of Milwaukee in all of human time.
One of the hardest to avoid. like the domes. That's the way I think of myself.
You have a place where I can talk about myself.
That's right.
Yeah, this right. Great. That's what you say. But this is I thank you so much for doing this and being my guinea pig in so many ways.
I'm delighted. It's fine.
Yeah. So the goal of this podcast is to just talk to artists in recovery, as I am one myself. It's something that's very important to me, and so I just want to meet other artists who are also in recovery and are willing to share their journey.
Right. I'm just a rookie. I'm just a rookie compared to you. You really have some longevity at this, and that's to be admired. You know, because I go to meetings a lot. And I'm astonished at the number of people who have been, when it's anniversary time, they say, 39 years.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to make 39 years. I just got a feeling. So I really admire that. But I have...
You never know. There's some advancements in medicine these days. They're going to be like, Mr. James Pickering, would you like to try XYZ longevity pill? And you're going to be all like, yes, because I must get to 39 years
I will
of
be
recovery.
Right, of course, that's my goal. Yeah. But I have... it's been a very enlightening, because I just passed my 2 years.
Yes.
I began about a year before that, but I didn't make it past the first time. In fact, I was in that very first year before I relapsed, when we first got together and did I'm going to pray for you so hard.
Yeah.
And it was the wonderful irony of it, because I played an absolute guy who was addicted to everything and took them all on stage, and then went into recovery and ended up on the floor with his daughter pouring a bottle of champagne on his face.
It's a great play. If you haven't,
it was wonderful.
You need to read it.
It was really was the first thing coming out of COVID, when we were all wondering if, there would be theaters again. And you were kind enough to ask me to read for that thing. And that's one of my favorite things I've ever done. And I learned, I wish that my first shot at recovery had taken, but it was that particular play is wonderful. It's a wonderful play about recovery.
Yeah.
It's,
among so many
in a sort of a constructivist sort of
way. Yeah, totally.
There's great darkness in that play, but there's also, it's just, wonderful. And that's part of the subject of it. And as I have discovered, one of my favorite things about, just hanging out with other people in recovery has been that talk to people, and you're talking to other people in recovery, and immediately you have something in common.
Yeah.
And however different you may be from one another, that one common thing, at least for me, tends to lead to me asking, I wonder what else I have in common with this person.
Sure.
Whereas I think in my case, it's alcoholism. It's when you're drinking and so forth, it's so much more about you. It turns it has turned my eyes outward towards my fellow human beings, and in a way that would not have happened if I weren't in recovery. And it's very valuable. And that kind of thing is really useful in the theater.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you put it to good use. I sort of, one of the things I realized in retrospect was about, because I would never go on stage, never drink and go on stage. That was not happening. But then the question later became, am I doing theater because I know that right after the play is over, I'm going to slam down a couple of scotches?
Yeah.
Had it become this pattern, which is, that can be rather toxic in its own way too. And so when when the first thing I do when I get home is I have a squeeze of lime juice and some tonic water.
Nice.
And because it feels like, if somebody else is having a glass of wine, so that, and as I've told my family was here to see me in a play recently, this past weekend, and
yes.
I'm a recovering alcoholic, but I'm not a teetotaler.
Yeah.
If I could have 2 glasses of wine, I would.
Yeah.
Or even 1. Do you know what I mean? But that,
or 6.
See, that's the problem. So I have found, that's one of the benefits, another benefit of being in recovery. Also discovering some people that I know that I didn't realize were in recovery, and being able to communicate with friends on yet a different level.
Yeah.
There was, relationships were fine before, but now there's just a different flavor to it, and it's healthier in a way. And so I like that about it.
Yeah.
So I'm recommending recovery.
And thank you for coming to this podcast.
There, we fixed all your problems.
What a wonderful talk it was. Thank you. Yeah. No, well, can we talk a little bit about sort of, because, I would hope that there are people out there who are not, just in Milwaukee, who are listening to this thing.
Right.
So they might be like, who the hell is James Pickering?
Oh, right. Well, I've been an actor in Milwaukee for 52 years.
Yes.
And 38 of those years I spent when the Milwaukee Rep had a resident acting company, and I was resident actor, and along with my late wife.
And you just finished a show at the Rep. Like
I just finished a show written by my current wife, which is
by your wife now.
Yeah, I know. Just when I thought I was out, she drags me back in.
You complained.
No, it was. I ain't complaining.
But there were some great reviews.
We had some time. We had a good time doing that play. A wonderful time doing it.
And you're going to do it. You're going to do it again.
We're going to do it. Thank you for the plug. We'll be doing it at Northern Sky in the Gould Theater from about the first week of September through the month of October. So come up and look at the leaves when it's light, and come look at us when it's dark. It'd be great. It will be in the indoor theater, by the way, because the breezes in October can be pretty hefty.
Up north are a little stiff.
Yeah.
Norwegians like
this lady, this recovery lady, will be up there in some campground with her wonderful husband.
Yes,
who builds sets and other things as well, and she can catch that.
Yeah, because I didn't get a chance to come and see it. Because
you're not the only person, because it was sold out.
It was sold out. So what are you going to do?
I know.
And I don't have enough clout to like elbow my way in there. They're like,
I tried to use my elbows, and they just were not sharp enough in this particular instance. But
yeah,
we'll make sure that happens.
I will.
So, and everybody else, come on up too. Well, you people across the lake.
Yeah, the Michiganders.
Take the ferry to Manitowoc and pop up and see us.
It's a great drive.
Yeah.
And if you come over on the car fare, you end up in my hometown.
There you go.
You end up in Manitowoc.
Right.
Yeah. And then you drive to Door County. It's very nice.
This is the statue of you still up in
Oh, yes.
I thought it was.
Yes. It's right by the submarine.
Yeah. And people scrape it off.
Oh, totally.
Because birds,
Oh, totally. Yeah. Poop on my head all the time.
That's right.
Absolutely. So you've had this really long relationship with art here in Milwaukee, but where did you grow up, my good man?
I grew up in insofar as they allowed me to, in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And
the Gettysburg.
Right. In fact, I just got a copy of a one-man play, in which the one character is Dwight David Eisenhower.
Oh.
And it's a lot of words, which leads me to segue into the next thing about recovery. It's a lot easier to learn lines when you're in recovery. When you're not drinking.
Yeah.
Right. It's surprising.
It's so weird.
Yeah. So, and that doesn't get any easier when you
get older. Yeah.
So that anything that's helpful along those lines is much appreciated. So I have recovery to thank for that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I went to a bunch of schools in New England, and then I went to grad school at Penn State. I'm a confirmed Nittany Lion rooter. And
great program.
Really good program.
Yeah.
We had some great teachers there. We had some teachers that I think about when I'm working on a role, saying, would he let me get away with that? Probably not. Okay, let's try this instead. And that's fine. And my late wife Rose, she was a year ahead of me there, and we got married, in fact, at Penn State in Buffalo Run United Methodist Church in Buffalo Run, Pennsylvania.
Nice. That's awesome.
Right. And
so how did you did you then do the theater circuit? Did you do the regional theater thing?
What we did was, in those days, the Theater Communications Group, TCG, used to sponsor, I don't even know if they still do it, auditions in which and this was and it was like almost like the NCAA basketball tournament, because there were district and regional and national.
Yeah.
And so you had to go through all of those.
Yeah.
And ended up in Chicago at the Palmer House with the national auditions. And
I too have auditioned at the Palmer House.
There you are.
Yes.
Palmer House is
it's so beautiful. If you've never been to the Palmer House in Chicago, go to the Palmer House in Chicago. It's a beautiful space.
And we got offered jobs by Nagel Jackson, who was artistic director here in 1974. And about 3 days before Richard Nixon resigned, we moved to Milwaukee. I came in about the same time as Robin Yount.
Oh,
for those of their point of reference,
for people who know,
people who actually were alive when Robin Yount was playing.
Robin Yount was a big name when I was a kid.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it happened. So the move to Milwaukee happened super fast.
Yeah, really. I spent a season. They used to have a classification of actors sort of between training program and being fully in Actors Equity in the union, called the Journeyman program.
Oh.
And so I got one of those, and I got to work with one of the geniuses that I've worked with, and I've worked with a few, named Adrian Hall, who was artistic director at what was then known as Trinity Square Rep, and now is called Trinity Rep in Providence, Rhode Island.
Nice.
And Rose had gotten a job here just doing one show. And
what show was that?
Oh, it was it Joe Egg?
We'll say yes.
Yes. No, it wasn't Joe Egg.
Okay.
That was the second year. It was Prison. No.
It was something.
Was it?
You guys have done a ton of stuff over the years.
Yeah, it was. And that was a long time.
And that was a little while ago. Yeah. So, but it was something. I was just trying to, poke you.
No, right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
No, I once knew the name of that plan. I don't remember.
You're going to remember it as soon as we shut this thing off.
And I will
be like, it's the.
I will text. No. That happens now at 2:00 in the morning.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Yeah, waking up and.
While I'm still awake because I haven't had a half a bottle of whiskey.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No, I'm joking. I'd much rather. And that's another thing. Another thing about recovery that I like, in my case, and it just bears on sort of on the structure of the workday when I'm in a show. Okay. When I wake up, I'm awake.
Yeah, I'm
in the old days, it took a while.
Oh, sure.
Do you know what I mean? But now, and it kind of really surprised me after about a month in recovery. I went, what happened to my buffer zone between me and reality? And so you can,
just waking
you
up
can get on with stuff. You get on with stuff quicker, and that's helpful.
Yeah, I enjoy that very much too. Just that.
It's so funny too.
I do yoga first thing in the morning, just.
I do coffee first thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, yes. Okay. I do the coffee first.
I thought maybe
I do coffee and yoga.
That's right. Which is a nice balancing act.
We stand back up and then we drink the coffee.
When you're doing the warrior with a cup of coffee, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody can do that. See, only people in recovery.
Only people in recovery can do warrior one and
right.
drink coffee at the same time.
I washed out of yoga because of a warrior pose. Because the third time I found myself being the only warrior who was facing south when everybody was facing north. I found that too humiliating. And as Tammy will tell you, I exited the dojo and went into the cloakroom and did several silent screams.
That's hilarious.
I know, but if I were to apply
it bruised your ego so much.
Well, I mean, just didn't want to be the one wrong guy.
Sure. I too have that challenge. That's why I do so many things in the solitude of
that's right.
room. Yeah.
But then we discovered yin yoga,
which is amazeballs.
Yin is fantastic.
It's my favorite as well.
It was also the favorite of our dogs.
I can
they
see
would
that.
be in the dojo, and they would often be doing a sort of a canine version of whatever you were doing, except for the downward facing dog. They never mastered that.
Ironically. So I
did that. Yeah. And I did a lot of plays.
So you've done a crap load.
Probably over 300 by now.
Is that what
something
your
like that.
Estimate is?
Yeah. And my favorite statistic about myself is that I played Ebenezer Scrooge in the Pabst Theater 450 times.
That's insane. That is an insane amount of shows as that character.
Yep. Loved doing it. Loved stopping doing it.
And people loved you doing that role.
Yeah. It was great fun.
Yeah.
Back we didn't have no microphones back then either. We had to project.
That's right. None of these things coming out of the top of the skull.
Right.
Those things really bother me.
I'm sorry, but they
because I
bother me
see
too.
them.
Of course you
They
do.
do not.
When
They
you're
do
an
not.
actor, they don't disappear. You're looking at all.
I'm
of
just
course.
looking right at that alien antenna coming right out of people's heads as they're.
It's one of the
pontificating
reasons why I like working in the Broadway space, because
you don't.
you
You don't get that.
really don't need them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think they tend to flatten the sound, but what do I know?
So you went through many performances at
Many.
at the Rep.
Yep.
And do you want to talk a little bit, or can you talk a little bit about sort of the progression of alcohol use over the years? Can you speak
There
to
was
that at
no.
all?
I
Or do you think it's just we have a huge drinking culture in Wisconsin? For people who don't know this,
I think this is a tough place to stop drinking.
it is.
Right, because so much of the social aspect of one's life is centered around, and was for me, you know, it, a keg,
Yeah.
up in the North Woods,
Yeah.
whiskey, you know,
Yeah.
that was part of it. Also, I mean, sorry, Mom. When I was a kid, and my parents would have parties with, with the other faculty members at Gettysburg College, and they did their share of drinking
Of course.
at faculty parties and stuff like that.
Of course.
But my mother would come up, like about 9:00 to check on us, and she would always give you a kiss. And when she gave you a kiss, it was, you were being kissed by a Manhattan.
Sure.
And when you're 8 years old,
Sure.
there's something, the association is appealing.
Sure.
So Mom, I'm blaming you for this one.
Yeah. I'm laying
But
all at your feet, Mom.
And my family, everybody drank. I mean, it was just that's it. Everybody did.
So you're
various
moving-
people would get, more ridiculous than others,
Sure.
but it was also seemed to be in moderation, which I now know there is no such thing. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was part of the deal.
But so you're moving from one drinking culture to
another, and theater's rife with it.
Yeah.
And I understand why, because that was part of the ritual, especially you and the bizarre dichotomy of drinking is, oh man, that was the worst show I've done in 5 years. Give me a scotch on the rocks.
Yeah.
Or Jesus, that was a great show. I'll have a single malt scotch on the rocks.
Yeah.
What sort of measure is that, really? But it's perfect. It's perfectly natural, I think that kind of made it tougher. That made it tougher the first time, when the period of recovery when I was in I'm going to pray for you so hard.
Was that really the first time
that was the first time that I ever said,
I'm done?
I mean, I've been, usually because I was so hungover, I've said, well, I'm not going to have a drink for 3 days, and I didn't have a drink for 3 days.
Sure.
Or I didn't have a drink until I had another drink.
Sure. Sure.
They call it cunning, baffling, and powerful.
Sure.
And alcohol, that is. And,
yeah.
And it is,
yeah.
But
like I always say about my my journey is that the time that I finally stopped,
yes,
was not the first time that I had tried to stop.
No, that's right.
There were
there's
4 or 5 times before that where I was like, this is not going well.
Right.
This is not
before
you
commit to it as a way of life, which is different.
Yeah.
And
totally.
it is.
No, but that's why I'm asking. So that time before I'm going to pray for you was the time that you went, I'm not drinking anymore.
Yeah, that was
okay.
And
first time
and failed. Right.
Well, you didn't fail. Yeah. You just started drinking again at a certain point.
Okay.
No.
Yes,
No.
yes, Jamie,
Okay.
it's fine.
Okay. No, I just.
I know what
If
you
you
mean.
want to call it fine, if you want to call it failure, you call it failure.
I'm not good. I'm with you. I think both points of view are right.
Yes.
Yes, that's true.
I tried multiple times
Yeah.
to stop drinking.
Yeah.
And
well, and both times I will tell you frankly, I was domestically encouraged.
mm-mm.
And both times it made sense.
Mm-mm.
And I was anguished when I went back out there. And this second time it's been just a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This second journey, you really feel like,
well, you sort of know what it is. For one thing, you know what the relapse is. You know what to look for, because there are always warning signs, and you just go, yep, no, not going to do that. Okay,
yeah.
next thing, please. That's I mean, I'm fairly glib about it now.
Yeah.
And it was, but it is less difficult now than it was when I started. And so that progression helps.
It does.
But if you to go back to your original question, I just drank. I drank a lot sometimes, and a little sometimes, and a lot sometimes. So I don't think there was a real progression.
Oh, okay.
But the effect of it, there's no getting around it. The effect of it, when you're more than 70 years old, is more acute than before you're 70 years old. So, okay, why don't I give myself a few more years when I can actually do this and walk and talk and remember lines and stuff like that. And then lo and behold, my wife wrote a play, said this is a 100-minute play, and isn't that wonderful? And you're going to be on stage for 96 minutes.
Two people plus one.
Plus one.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's
all great.
Do you feel like, in addition to the person influence saying, I think you should stop this, do you feel like there was something in you that was like, if I want to continue to be an actor into my later years, I need to really consider this?
Although that wasn't as large a concern. It was day-to-day life. And the day-to-day life just gets better.
It does.
One is more wide awake in a whole lot of ways.
In a lot of ways.
And for one thing, it really, really shrunk our grocery bill. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're not buying, oh, company's coming. Now I'm going to have around that stuff that I know I'll probably drink most of anyway. But so I'm going to get a single malt. And I'm going to get this, and I'm going to get the really good vodka, and then and we got to have 6 bottles of wine, because there's a deal for 6 bottles of wine.
Yeah.
So you get the 6 if you only need 2 or none.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I will say, though, even the most expensive vodkas are not all that expensive.
No, they're not. You're right.
I don't know what it is about vodka.
I used to love that Icelandic vodka. That was my favorite. It did, in fact, taste like volcanic ashes. Now, you young recovery people, don't you listen to this. Viewer discretion is
no. We can talk about.
Well, I mean, it's a fact. We did.
How I very much enjoyed vodka. I very much did. Yes, but there's a certain point where you're just like, this is not going well.
No, it's not going well. I can do this better, and without spending a whole lot of effort, so that I have something left at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I should do that instead.
Yeah.
And when you do it, and it does help that some things pay off for you, like, oh, I got that job. Oh, you know what I mean? And, no, I don't know whether from the outside that has any influence, but psychologically for me, I go, those two things happen at the same time.
Yeah.
I quit drinking, played that part.
And I played that role.
What do you know? Gee whiz. Okay, Sherlock.
Universal blessing.
That's right. There you go.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it as well.
Yeah. So you didn't really have, because I sort of had these things, particularly when it came to, because there is a section of time where I was writing a lot.
Yeah, sure.
And writing is easier, as Hemingway will tell you, when you're drinking. Well, at least that's the way that it feels, right?
Yeah, sure.
That is the wicked impression that one gets, is that there are more free-flowing ideas.
There are.
And you can attribute that. I think that I contribute it to, because I just live with a lot of fears and anxieties,
Yeah.
and things, and alcohol can numb
It
that,
can.
and it can make it feel like you're breaking through barriers, and you're really like writing now, and never mind the fact when I look back at some of that writing, like I couldn't even read the writing. Not helpful,
Right? No.
Because I'm a hand writer.
Yes,
I
yes.
like the tactile things.
Oh, right.
Of writing.
I love Shelby Foote. Shelby Foote wrote on legal pads with a fountain pen. He said, if I do it with any other stuff, it just doesn't feel like the definition of writing.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah. There's just something.
So learn cursive, children.
Learn cursive. If you have not, there is time.
Right.
But there was this sense of, if I stop drinking, is my artistry going to fail in some way?
Am I not going to be free enough to do stuff?
Funny. I'm not going to be this. I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to be that.
And look at you.
And look, I am
great.
Hilarious.
You are. You're just a riot. You're a walking party, kid.
I am a walking party. So
and you put her in a play and she takes off her clothes. This is really wonderful. This would she while she was drinking? Would I play two characters in their slips? I don't know.
I don't. It's a really interesting question, because I did never do those things when I was a drinker.
Right.
And so, and part of that process,
I never did those things in either situation. I'm just waiting for someone.
So I think we should give people context here. So I don't have the Beauty Queen poster. Hey, it's right over there.
It's right over there.
So in the Beauty Queen of Lebanon, the main character who I played and Mr. Pickering directed for the Constructivists, a year ago,
more or less.
More or less.
Great experience. I loved it.
She comes out of the bedroom and she's in a bra and a slip. And then this past spring, then we did Bug. And then that character, I mean, if you saw the Steppenwolf production, they got fully naked. We did not do that for various reasons I will not get into here. But I was in less clothing. Even less clothing. Less clothing. Of which one of my friends said that was the ugliest damn underwear she ever saw.
It was funky underwear. But it's in the middle of Oklahoma, for God's sake. What do you want?
And she's
for those of you living in Oklahoma.
Right. She's living in a motel. And she has no money. And she has no money because she's spending it on drugs. There's reasons for this.
There's the lesson.
And then to my thought process was that because of the shade of the clothing that we used, it could lend itself to the brain and that idea of nudity and vulnerability.
Was worked out fine.
It worked out fine.
The meaning of the play was not.
But the trend here is that I'm getting more and more.
I know, really.
Less and less clothing. Yeah. That's while being sober.
I know.
There is something really freeing about that you
can when you can do stuff better when you know better.
And being that vulnerable.
That's right.
And I think that's the thing that I appreciate most about recovery as an artist, is that ability to be vulnerable without any sort of mask or
don't numb the stuff. Don't numb the stuff. And it can be painful. It can be a painful process, but ultimately, that's part of the investigation. That's not part of the result of what you do. The result of what you do is art. It's not pain and suffering.
Yeah.
It's, you use pain and suffering as tools to tell a story.
Yeah.
And the more, I think, the less you are influenced, sort of bent out of shape
Yeah.
by substances, the better chance you have of touching the raw place, really feeling it, and then being able to go, now I will use that to create something, and not just have the thesaurus remain, and sort of not know which is real. And I just think it's better this way.
Yeah, no,
you can be more incisive about what you do, and you can trust, for want of a better word, trust the honesty of what you discover, and be able to use it better in playing a role, or in directing a play, as far as that goes.
Yeah, to have a better
Your
clarity.
awareness is right. Clarity and awareness, I think, is what those the improvement in those things are among the really good results of recovery, I think.
That you're
Or
not
have been for me. It ain't nothing. It ain't the same. Ain't true for everybody.
sure.
But or the degree to which that's true, or the importance of it. But we, in this business that we're in, there has to be a great deal of introspection.
Yeah.
You have to find within yourself something that is true in yourself that is also true of the piece of art that you're creating. That's what you do. That's what a painter does. It's what a dancer does. And for that to happen, you need to be able to use all your available tools. You need to be able to use your insight, your intelligence, your imagination, and all that stuff. And the clearer they are, I think, the better you are at infusing what you do with as much truth as you possibly can. That's whether they know it or not. That's what the people are paying to see.
Sure. But I think too, in some ways, it can make you a better scene partner.
Oh, I think it does. Yes, your awareness is better. You're a better listener.
It can make you a better artist to work with when you're not pulled down by being hung over when you're
or your emotions are really more under control. It's not to say that they're not deeper or more volatile sometimes, but you're in touch with them, I think, in a more healthy way when you're in recovery, because you can't really trust, is that the booze talking?
Sure.
Do you know? Or
I do know.
Yeah, I do know too.
Yeah.
Having done it.
Yeah.
It's
I have very much enjoyed these past, what am I at? I'm coming up on 9 years.
That's pretty good, baby.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
That's pretty good. Next month.
All right, girl.
7-7.
7-7, yeah. I'm 5'3".
I was gonna try and make a height joke, but
that's okay. No, that's right.
No, you're not. There's my great sense of humor coming out.
See, she couldn't do that stuff.
Oh, I couldn't do that stuff when I was drinking. Make height jokes about being 5'3". Oh my god. Yes, but just I feel like I can be more proud of myself for allowing myself to be fully vulnerable with all my capacities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
In these past years.
Yeah, that's good.
And it just feels good. It just feels right.
One is more trustworthy to oneself.
Yes, that's what it is.
I trust myself more.
Absolutely.
There's no niggling question about, I don't know, is that authentic, or,
Yeah.
I mean, we all play around and bullshit around, but still.
Sure. Yeah, nothing
Sooner or
is
later.
ever perfect.
Oh my God. No way.
But I'm just saying that the overall feeling that I get is exactly what you're saying, that
Good. Yeah.
trustworthiness. I mean, it just feels good. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, I think that is something that is capable of increasing in you as you proceed in recovery. And believe me, one day at a time, believe me, is the only way. But nevertheless, some of the benefits of continuing on that particular path are in a way are their own rewards, but you appreciate them as rewards.
Yeah.
Even if nobody knows about them but yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it's possible to be content. It's more easily possible to be content much of the time.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did touch on it a little bit, but we didn't fully go down that road, so I'm going to do that.
Yes.
So you said you still go to meetings.
Oh, I do. Yes, I enjoy the meetings a lot, and I have friends, and a lot of them now come to the theater who didn't come to the theater before.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm going to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. I'm not anonymous.
You are not.
I'm not anonymous. Anybody who's listened to the making of Milwaukee being played 900 times knows who the hell they're talking.
You are not. Yeah.
So, but okay. So what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's your boundaries. That's within your boundaries.
Exactly.
That you're like, I'm going to be transparent. I'm an artist in
recovery.
I
got no choice. Yeah. Or something. Right.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
But
when it was great when I did a show in Tucson while I was in recovery and went to meetings with another of the actors there. We both went to this meeting. And in that case, nobody knew who I was. So that was me. And so I went, oh, this is cool.
This is new.
Right.
What do you feel most that meetings give to you? Is it the community? Is it the availability to sort of talk your
one of my meetings involves a group meditation, a group guided meditation.
Nice.
Oh, which nice. I love that. I love that. We have two guys who do the narration alternate weeks. One of us, so the other one can meditate the other time.
Yeah, that's
it's a
great idea.
And everybody at that particular meeting, just at the end of it goes, oh man, I need that. And if I'm iffy and it's, and there's 8 inches of snow on the ground and it's still snowing and it's windy and it's my night off, I get to that meeting because of the meditation.
Nice.
And now with same group of people with a little bit of attrition owing to age, etc. I've been going to that meeting ever since I started. That was the first meeting I went to.
Oh, nice.
In this version of my recovery.
Okay.
Because it was a kind of that evening that was the command.
Okay.
Yeah, and boom, it happened to be the closest one to my house.
Oh.
And I said, some higher power has guided me to this particular meeting, because the men and women are just really, we've got to know each other and really check up on each other, and it's been great.
That's great.
I like that. And new sets of friends, not like friends that you've had for and worked with, say, for 20 years or something like that, but real friends who know what you're going through.
Yeah.
And you know what they are going through. As I say, got that in common. Yeah. What else do we have in common? Instead of back in drinking days, in a group of people going, where do I fit in the hierarchy of this? Okay, am I smarter than he is? Am I better looking than he is? Am I dumber than he is? You know what I mean? You do that. At least I did. It's sort of mosaic of where on the charts do I fit? Now it's so much less that. It's so much about, what's this person got going on? because in the meetings there's a lot of sharing,
Mm-hmm.
take turns around the group, and people say some really profound stuff that I had not heard before. And so I find myself learning stuff in addition to going on the trip, the meditation trip. And there's always a lot of chocolate.
I've joked about it with
us Alkies gotta get we gotta get our
people
sugar
without alcohol. We will definitely. I've got chocolate there. I've got chocolate in the kitchen. Yes. That is a real thing.
It's a real
That's
thing.
a real thing.
Yeah.
Do you can I ask, do you do anything with the sponsorship system or anything like that? Or
I have a sponsor, and
Okay.
I have one sponsee.
Oh, nice.
And my sponsee is 5 years older than I am.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But we don't do, I would say in neither case is it the sort of classic, a sponsor's really a mentor.
Totally.
Somebody that you can rely on and that you call.
Totally.
I've texted my sponsor a number of times, but it's mostly to say, I can't make the meeting because I have rehearsal until noon. You know what I mean? Or something like that.
Sure.
Didn't see you for 2 meetings. How you been?
Sure.
That kind of thing. But but I know he's there. I know he's there if I need to. If I really get something weird goes on and I really need counseling, he's ready for it.
That's awesome.
And the other one, we got together and read the big book a few times, which, I had read it, but we were into reading it aloud. So we had fun doing that.
Oh, nice.
Sitting in the Starbucks, just reading back and forth and not giving a damn whether anybody pays any attention to it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And he's also a guy I really like him. He's a very appealing man.
That's really great.
Yeah. So
you would definitely be somebody that if somebody was considering quitting drinking or
want to talk to me about it, I'll talk to you about it. I've been talking
Sure.
about it, I'm sorry, finish your sentence.
No,
bad.
But I was just saying that it's definitely something that you would say works is the meeting system.
Oh, I do think so.
Okay.
Think so. And I know it doesn't work for everyone, but it works.
Yeah, I did not do it. I went on my life and went, okay, we're not drinking anymore. And
now, yeah.
And theater was my community. That's the kind of community that I needed.
Yes, right.
And
you've built a nice one, by the way. Yeah. Some very cool people in that.
Yes, totally. Yes.
I'm just a spiritual advisor. I don't really have a post constructive.
But I think I know enough about the different ways that people can investigate being sober or trying recovery, and definitely meetings is one thing that you can say, like, is there one close to your house? There probably is.
Oh, there is. Believe me. Well,
just Google it and you will.
Who was I talking with? I think somebody I've known a long time, but we agreed that quitting drinking in Milwaukee is not easy.
It makes you some level of superhero.
Yes.
There's some hierarchy of superhero that if you can quit drinking in Milwaukee,
you've really,
you are something else. You are on a different level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've gone up in weight for the clean and jerk. Yes. Just put it down.
That's what it is.
That's
yes,
right.
The clean and jerk.
I'm sober above my pay grade.
Above my weight class.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah. So is there anything though that sort of as we close this out, is there anything that really pops to mind that if somebody is really curious about taking that step to taking a break, or you know or quitting altogether, is there something that you would be like?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think, uh, for instance, I do not have a therapist.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, but if I had a therapist, I would probably talk about that with that person
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
But
I would say, it's from my end too, I would
yeah.
say talk to your doctor.
Oh, and so no, well,
Particularly
and
if you're
not only
long.
that, but your physician too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if
Oh, I
you're
would.
if you're in it and you've been particularly with alcohol drinking for a very long time, please
Absolutely.
talk to your doctor.
Yeah, because there are lots of ways of going
Yeah.
at be- becoming sober,
Talk
and
talk to you talk to your
talk to your
professional.
doctor,
Yeah.
talk to a professional. But one of the astonishing things I found out about meetings was the degree to which you are welcomed without judgment. That
Yeah.
really surprised
I
me.
was gonna ask that.
And that's one of the things that I was
say that.
afraid of, which would keep me from going.
Feeling like you were
Feeling
judged.
right. And it is quite the opposite. You know, the acceptance on a superficial, the acceptance and understanding is there. It's just there. And generally speaking, it only gets deeper and more substantial as you go along. So that's really helpful to me, because I'm a reasonably gregarious person.
Yeah.
I mean, I love to sit on a sofa on my butt and watch, Uzbekistan versus Cameroon in the World Cup. I'll find a reason
Nice.
to watch
Did that
sports.
really happen?
It might have.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They're both in it. I just don't know if they're playing
Against each other. Okay. Okay.
So, but I mean, I just like to hang out with people. You kind of have to, in a way, if you're going to be in the theater, because you're surrounded by people all the time.
Yeah.
So in other words, it may just simply be that the meetings were better. They were a better gate for me to open to walk into recovery, walk that metaphor if you dare. So and that may not be the case for everybody. And the thing about meetings is, at least certainly in Milwaukee, at the app.
Yeah.
When, where, who,
Yeah.
is it in Spanish? Is it in Croatian? Who knows what?
Which app is this?
It's the meeting app.
Oh,
yeah,
like Alcoholics Anonymous, like meeting app.
Where are the
Nice.
meetings? Oh yeah.
Oh,
What day of the week? Monday morning, early afternoon, evening.
nice.
Yeah.
I should have
So
figured
you can always look up another one. You can always just keep going till you find one you like, because there's no point in going somewhere. If you're trying to get yourself better, no point to go somewhere you're going to have a bad time, and you're going to go, oh, screw this, I might as well drink. You know what I mean? It's got to be something that you could feel the benefit of as soon as possible.
I will say the same thing about your therapist.
I
If
truly.
you're not having a good time with your therapist,
then
find a different therapist.
because boy, there's a lot of them too.
Not as much as you would. That's a
Oh,
whole
well,
other,
anyway,
that's
okay.
a whole other discussion
No,
about
I'm
the
sorry.
crisis of.
But your frustrations
Yeah,
are yours,
yes,
mine or
yes.
mine.
No,
yes.
but I really like my therapist.
Then that's good.
I really like my therapist.
Good. And I really like my doctor.
I've been with my therapist for, I think, like 7 years or something.
Well,
like
that's
that.
pretty good.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
like my therapist. They're a good human. Thank you, Mr. James Pickering,
Delighted.
for being game. That's
Oh,
what I
sure,
gotta
sure.
say about that. And,
Cool.
and being willing to share
Delighted
your story.
to
And
help. Yeah. Yeah.
thanks for
Good.
being open.
Yes.
Rehearsal and Recovery is produced by me, Jamelyn Gray, with support from Let's Go Windows and Doors, Get More for Less with Less, and music from Radd X. Please join us every Tuesday as we talk with a new artist about their recovery journey on Rehearsal and Recovery.